Clear-headed straight ball female lead X World 1 strong high attack low defense male lead. Overall, it's a little sweet book about dating. Good news. Wearing books, with a system, she is the female lead. Bad news. The system is called Licking Dog System, and there are actually several male leads. Lin You wants to run, really. She only knows she has a system that can save points and exchange cheats, but why is her system a licking dog system? It's a system that requires being a licking dog to accumulate points. A minute later. Lin You. Why didn't you tell me earlier that there were so many points with just a lick? Starting from today, I am a sea dog. Lu Yu put in a lot of effort to approach Lin You, even willing to create a world to make Lin You his licking dog. But now he only wants to curse. Lin You not only thought he was just an NPC, but also became someone else's sea dog. No, he definitely won't allow it. Chapter 001. First Journey Report. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin You is a bit confused. There is a man in front of her, wearing a beautiful dress, which is her favorite type. The man knelt on one knee, holding a ring in his hand, and looked at her with deep affection in his eyes. Even the voice is very pleasant to hear. Yuyo, are you willing to marry me? Lin Yu turned her head and looked around. In the romantic atmosphere of the venue decorated with pink ribbons and balloons, everyone was looking forward to it. But she doesn't know any of these people. Seeing her hesitating, the man reached out and gently grabbed her finger, saying, Yuyo, don't you want to? Lin Yu quickly withdrew his hand and said, of course not. She doesn't know this person either. The next second, Lin Yu's mind beeped with a prompt. Host number 1134, congratulations, the system has been bound. Lin Yu unconsciously took a step back. The man in front of him quickly stood up and said, Yuyo, what's wrong? The man frowned slightly, with a look of concern on his face that looked very beautiful. If it weren't for not knowing him, Lin Yu would have wanted to agree to him on the spot. Host, you can't promise him. The sound of the system continued to ring in her mind. His name is Shinqing, he's a scumbag. Lin Yu listened and took another step back. Shinqing quickly grabbed Lin Yu's arm and said, Yu, what's wrong with you today? Isn't that what you've been looking forward to? Is it really what she has been looking forward to? A person stood between Lin Yu and Shinqing, blocking Shinqing's hand as well. Why don't I think she's really looking forward to it? Host, this is Su Yuan, follow him. Lin Yu reached out and grabbed Su Yuan's arm before running, let's go. The venue was not large, and Lin Yu could see the exit at a glance. He pulled Su Yuan out together. Host, if you want to talk to me, you can just think to yourself, I can hear you. Do you really have mind-reading skills? Are these all standard system configurations? Why did I come here? Others have died while traveling, but I'm not dead. Lin Yu remembers very clearly that she just fell asleep while playing games in her daily life, and everything at home was normal with no accidents. Well, my code doesn't include how the host got here. How can I go back then? Just complete the task. I understand all the principles, can you tell me what the task is? As Su Yuan's licking dog, earn points. Lin Yu suddenly stopped in his tracks. Just lost my mind and didn't hear me. Can you say it again? As Su Yuan's licking dog, earn points. No, it seems there's something wrong with my ears. Can you say it again? Host, you heard me right. The task is to be Su Yuan's licking dog and earn points. Lin Yu's brain is down. She usually likes to read novels and also enjoys watching TV dramas. I have seen those who pass through time, those who pass through different worlds, and those who pass through the interstellar universe. I have seen that missions are for revenge, for cultivation and upgrading, and for saving the world. What rivers, strokes, persimmons, weather, flower markets, letters, she shuttles back and forth on various websites, what plot has she never seen? But she really hasn't seen anyone specifically crossing over to be a licking dog for people. Suddenly remembering that he was still holding Su Yuan's arm, Lin Yu quickly let go. Su Yuan stood quietly beside him, looking at Lin Yu. There was no special expression on his face, but at least there was no impatience. Generally speaking, missions that travel through time are released by these male leads, female leads, or male sophomores. This shouldn't be Su Yuan's wish, right? No, it's not. Okay, at least Su Yuan is innocent, right? Thank you just now, Lin Yu said, ready to run away. If there's nothing else, I'll go home first. I'll give you a ride. Su Yuan reached out and took out the key. I drove when I came. I still want to be alone for a while. I have something I want to show you, it's in my car. You can do it again next time. It's related to Shenqing. Su Yuan paused. But it seems like you already know a part of it. Lin Yu pursed her lips. She doesn't know anything. She just wants to find a place to receive the plot well and see what to do next. If you want to see those things in the car first, that's okay. I won't disturb you. Lin Yu looked at Su Yuan and felt something was wrong. Tong, do you think I can go? Dear host, Su Yuan has no ill intentions towards you, it's worth believing. Lin Yu agreed, but carefully chose the back seat when getting on the car. If something really went wrong with Su Yuan, she wouldn't just be grabbed and unable to run away. Su Yuan still had no displeasure, handed her a large file bag, and then sat in the driver's seat, focusing on driving. Lin Yu opened the file bag and pretended to focus on those photos, while his mind received the plot transmitted from the system. Sure enough, the original female lead had the same name and surname as her, also known as Lin Yu. The Lin and Shen families are close friends, and when the original female lead was in her generation, she fell in love with Shenqing. The two were childhood sweethearts. If two people are in love, the elders of the two families are also happy to see the two younger generations walk into marriage together. Moreover, when Shenqing was in college, he voluntarily confessed his feelings. The original female protagonist agreed to his confession and also agreed to his proposal, and eventually naturally married him. Unexpectedly, Shenqing had already been with her cousin Su Jiaojiao for a long time, and even openly attended a banquet with Su Jiaojiao when she was pregnant. The original female protagonist, considering the child in her belly, took the initiative to cook and brought it to Shenqing's office, hoping to have a conversation with him. The two families have business dealings, and divorce can also have a negative impact on public opinion. She can take a step back as long as Shenqing loses contact with Su Jiaojiao. Unexpectedly, I saw Su Jiaojiao in Shenqing's office. And the divorce agreement thrown out by Shenqing. Even the division of property has been written. Shenqing has used the trust of the original female protagonist to short the Lin family enterprise. If divorced, not only will she have nothing, but also the Lin family will become heavily indebted. A small portion of the money transferred by Shenqing has already been transferred to Su Jiaojiao's name through legal means. The original female lead was angry and sad, and was pushed down by Su Jiaojiao. When she was sent to the hospital, she had already miscarried. The child is gone, and after careful consideration, the original female lead decides not to agree to divorce. As long as they don't divorce, the Lin family won't have any problems temporarily, otherwise those debts will fall on her and Shenqing at the same time. Shenqing and Su Jiaojiao constantly stimulated the original female lead, but they were unable to succeed. In the end, they fabricated an accident when she went out. But Su Yuan found a way to investigate the truth and obtained evidence of Shenqing's commercial crimes and evidence of hiring someone to kill the original female lead, but was discovered by Su Jiaojiao. He failed to make all of this public, and even risked his own life. Understood. If this task is the original female lead's wish, then. Lin Yu looked up at Su Yuan, who was driving without looking at him, and silently sighed. Another female lead who was born again and immediately fell in love with the second male lead inexplicably. Chapter 002. Host, you seem like that pervert. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not my host. This task is not the original female protagonist's wish, nor is it Su Yuan's wish. What, is there a third person who wants to seek justice? Announce a message, host. I have written on the underlying code that it is not possible to disclose the source of the task. I don't know, but I can't say that. What's the use of you? You can tell the host the task information. According to the completion rate, the points and favorability obtained each time are different. When the favorability reaches full value, the points can be exchanged for different props to complete the task. What can be exchanged for? Pills, sword talismans, small gifts, a bouquet of flowers. After listening, Lin You let out a long sigh. As a system, do you want to hear what you're really saying? No matter how this world looks, it has nothing to do with cultivating immortals, okay? What other small gift and a bouquet of flowers can these two things be of any use? Wait, do small gifts and a bouquet of flowers have a hidden effect? Let me take a look at the item description. The host can exchange a small gift or a bouquet of flowers to give to the task object, increasing their huge favorability value. Lin You sighed again. Turn off the wheat, okay, host. At present, this system seems to be of little use, it's better to rely on oneself in everything. But the task was actually to be a licking dog. Lin You looked up and took another look at Su Yuan, who was driving seriously. The car happened to arrive at the intersection at a red light. Su Yuan stepped on the brake and then turned back, saying, I've been looking at you just now and sighing. What's wrong? Lin You tried hard to recall the comments from those licking dogs she saw while surfing 5G and clenched her hands, saying, No, I just feel like you look really good today. I don't mean you didn't look good yesterday. What I mean is, how come you look so good every day? Su Yuan's expression became noticeably stiff. Green light, the car restarts. Well. Actually, when I went out today, I met someone selling strawberries. Do you want to eat strawberries? No, he told me his strawberry must be the sweetest in the world, but I don't believe it. Because you are the sweetest in the world. I am most afraid of the sudden quietness of the air. Lin You also felt very embarrassed. But the sound of the system indicating an increase in points really made her unable to resist continuing. And that. Do you want to drink milk tea? I can order a cup for you and your girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend. Ha, I didn't see it before. Lin You chuckled dryly twice and heard the prompt sound of an increase in points again. That's right, she's the kind of player who gives the male lead 199 cakes a day while playing games to boost his popularity, regardless of whether the male lead can eat them or not. Isn't it just about brushing points now? She is skilled in this way of brushing points regardless of the other party's life and death, she is professional. Su Yuan, let me tell you. The car came to a sudden stop, and Lin You was about to say something when his seatbelt pulled him back. The sound of the seatbelt buckle being unfastened immediately came from the driver's seat. Here we are. The car door was opened, and Lin You could see a hint of haste in Su Yuan's call to get off the car. That, Su Yuan, I. Take these materials back with you, Su Yuan interrupted Lin You. It's already late, I'll leave first. The file bag was stuffed into Lin Yu's arms, and then Su Yuan quickly left her sight. Lin Yu stood still in place. Is this male second? He originally had this kind of personality. It used to be true that there weren't many, high-cold male god types. But I've never been so eager to avoid the original female lead before. Is it because, do you want me to be honest? Host, the way you said those words just now really sounds like that pervert. Lin Yu scratched his head. She doesn't think it's entirely her fault. Leaving aside the facts, is it all her fault? Well, based on the current situation, it seems that it's her fault. It seems that she cannot treat Su Yuan as an ordinary game male protagonist and directly go for quick strategy. She is already in this world, and it is not an ordinary holographic game. If I use points to buy gifts and boost my favorability, will Su Yuan be able to tolerate me disregarding his life and death by randomly stacking and licking dog quotes anyway? As long as you talk about licking dog quotes, you can earn points, and then use the points to buy gifts to boost your favorability, and directly loop forward. If the host keeps doing this, the other party's favorability will fluctuate. What do you mean? That's right, in addition to increasing their favorability, there will also be deductions. Damn it, it seems that the usual bully approach is no longer feasible. Lin Yu finished washing up at home and didn't forget to send a good night message to Su Yuan. As expected, she received a reminder of an increase in favorability and then fell asleep with peace of mind. The next morning, she was awakened by the ringing of her phone. It's Shenqing. Lin Yu instantly woke up and pressed the answer button. Shenqing's voice remained deep and gentle. Yu, have you woken up yet? Not yet. Sorry, Yu. Did I disturb you to sleep? Yes. Yu, are you still angry? It's my fault, okay. Lin Yu's head was full of question marks. Then tell me, where did you go wrong? The mistake was that I arranged a proposal without asking for your opinion in advance. In front of so many friends, there was a feeling of coercion towards you. I was wrong, and I will never do it again. Lin Yu shook his hand with his phone. If it weren't for the advance notification from the system, how could she have thought that Shenqing was actually a scumbag? This self-reflection, whether in attitude or perspective, is simply in place. The host cannot He is really a scumbag. The host cannot be shaken. Lin Yu cleared his throat, and his soon-to-erupt love brain returned to normal. Yes, she remembered. According to the original plot, Shenqing was actually already with Su Jiaojiao at this time. He didn't call you last night because he was at Su Jiaojiao's house. Do you also know this because he is the biggest obstacle on your path to completing the task? I will continue to closely observe him. Shenqing's voice continued to ring on the other end of the phone. Yu, is your throat uncomfortable? Are you at home? Can I buy you some throat candy to bring over? No need, thank you. Lin Yu quickly refused. I'm not at home today. Are you? Not at home. Shenqing became hesitant. So. Where are you? Lin Yu thought for a moment and decided whether or not to directly mention it at Su Yuan's home, so that it could be done once and for all. Perhaps after hearing this, Shenqing could become angry and reveal his true nature at the same time. She has read countless novels and it is written like this. Shenqing seemed to take a deep breath and said, Yu, did you go home last night? This time, Lin Yu didn't hesitate to say, no. Chapter 003, isn't it? This won't even take you down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Yu thought he would hear Shenqing's angry and despondent voice, as well as some insulting words, the next second. Unexpectedly, none of these. Shenqing hesitated and said, You're really sorry. Did I suddenly propose, which made you feel bad? Yes. Is that okay with you? I'll book a flight. And where do you want to go? Let's go on a trip and treat it as a distraction. Let's just treat this incident as if it never happened, okay? Not good. So, how do you have to be happy? Lin Yu thought for a moment and realized that since her mission was to be a licking dog, she needed to put less effort into Shenqing's side. It's better to cut through the chaos with a quick knife and have a showdown. Shenqing. What's wrong? I walked away with Su Yuan yesterday. The phone finally fell silent for a long time, but Shenqing, who spoke again, remained calm and said, I know he happened to appear and was taken away by you. Last night, I got into Su Yuan's car. I know, you're just momentarily angry and don't know what to do, right? Shenqing surprisingly refused to take in oil and salt. So Lin Yu decided to directly serve Menkai. After I got into his car, I found it really comfortable to sit in. Ah. Moreover, the car has a fragrant and pleasant smell inside, which I really like. You. If there's a chance in the future, I really want to keep riding in his car. You're talking in anger. I don't. I really like his car. So, should I buy a car like him? I also like the aromatherapy in his car. I can also buy the same one. But I don't like Su Jiaojiao. Of course. Shenqing suddenly lost her voice. After a while, Shenqing continued to speak. Why did you suddenly mention Su Jiaojiao? What do you think? I don't know, Yuyo. Last night, I was alone and not with anyone else. Shenqing felt a little happy in her heart. It seems that Lin You is not really in a romantic relationship anymore. This time it was just a little capricious. I knew, Yuyo, actually. But you haven't called me a whole night. I've been waiting for a long time, tired, and haven't received your call. Sorry, Yuyo. So I called you and didn't expect that the person answering the phone was Su Jiaojiao. What? Shenqing was stunned. It shouldn't be. Su Jiaojiao has always been the most sensible, and it is impossible for her to know that it was Lin You who called and even answer it with his phone. Su Jiaojiao said, "You're taking a shower." Then she told me not to call again, saying that since I have already rejected you, I must be as resolute as yesterday and not disturb you again. Shenqing held on to her phone tightly and relaxed, saying, Yuyo, I was also alone last night. I was just afraid that you might be angry and not want to see me, and I didn't want to hear my voice, so I didn't look for you. He is gambling. Perhaps Lin Yu was just momentarily angry. He cannot be tricked out by her. However, Lin Yu was not deceiving him. I have surveillance footage of the entrance of Su Jiaojiao's residential area. Last night at 11:30 p.m., she walked in holding your hand. You haven't come out yet until 7 o'clock this morning. Shenqing finally couldn't help but say, are you following me? I don't. It's just that a kind-hearted person told me that you're at Su Jiaojiao's house. Yuyo, you don't trust me. I believe it. I retorted on the spot. Lin Yu deliberately sniffed and said, I even said if I don't believe it, I'll go to Su Jiaojiao's residential area to check the surveillance footage. Unexpectedly, I got hammered. Yuyo, listen to me explain. No need to explain, I understand. We've broken up since now. I wish you all happiness. After speaking, Lin Yu quickly hung up the phone. Oh my god, Art Ong, look at the tone I just said about the surveillance video, isn't it cold and handsome? That's it. The sound system on the phone sounded like a message from Shenqing. Yuyo, I want to see you. Lin Yu quickly replied, we've already broken up. See you. Then he easily pulled Shenqing black. I also didn't forget to blacklist Su Jiaojiao together. Next, it's time for today's task. The host seems to enjoy the job of licking dogs very much, likes you %amp, asterisk, %amp, asterisk %amp, dot. Jiumin, host, please calm down. After completing the task, I will return to my original world. Can I know who the publisher of the task is then, host? Wait a moment, I'll flip through it again. Seems. Okay. Really? Host, please calm down. Lin Yu immediately took out his phone, found Su Yuan, and sent a good morning message. Su Yuan replied quickly, but it was relatively brief. But the favorability and points have increased. Lin Yu suddenly came to his senses. Su Yuan surprisingly got up so early. Then she won't be tired anymore. Surf live and then post 3 consecutive quotes about licking dogs. Sure enough, the points continue to increase. Host, as I mentioned yesterday, this method cannot last long. Who says I'm going to be long? Lin Yu's plan is very simple. Although this method cannot directly boost Su Yuan's favorability, there will at least be a critical threshold. She first reached the critical value, then gave up on licking dog quotes, pirated version, and used other gentle methods, so that she could also complete the task quickly. But the host, what's wrong? There shouldn't be any problems like this, right? What if that critical value is reset to 0? Lin Yu paused with his phone in hand. If Su Yuan really hates these dog-licking quotes. I was careless. Lin Yu quickly called Su Yuan and said, "Are you free today?" "What's wrong?" "I want to go out and play with you." "Free? Where do you want to go? Is it a park or an amusement park?" Lin Yu thought these two places were the easiest to gain popularity. "Or do you have any special favorite places?" "No." "Where do you like it?" "Then let's go to the park and take a walk." "Okay." Su Yuan paused and said, "I'm here to pick you up." "Okay." Looking at the rising popularity and points, Lin Yu was full of motivation and packed up his things to go downstairs. Su Yuan's residence was not far from her home. Lin Yu had just come downstairs for a while when Su Yuan arrived. This time, Lin Yu boldly sat in his passenger seat, and indeed, he once again heard the reminder of a rise in popularity and points. As expected, the old trick has always been popular. Today I'm going to the park and tomorrow I'm going to the amusement park. Next weekend, I'll take him to a haunted house and pretend to be afraid of getting into his arms. Host, what exactly are you? Don't ask, asking means reading more books, watching more dramas, and playing more games. Especially EU. Now she just needs to turn around and repeat the tricks that the male protagonist EO used to her, one by one, to Su Yuan. She doesn't believe it, she can't even take him down. Chapter 004. Playing Rebirth, right. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The more he thought about it, the more satisfied he became. Lin Yu smiled and even hummed a song. In the gap between the traffic lights, Su Yuan asked her, "So happy?" "Yes, yes." "What happened?" "Something happened and I want to go to the park with you." Lin Yu couldn't help but say, this is really something worth being happy about. The popularity and score continue to rise. Happy, I'm so happy. There is nothing more worthy of happiness than this. Although it felt awkward at first, licking too much made it natural. As long as she is not embarrassed, then it is others who are embarrassed. For example, Su Yuan. Su Yuan listened to her words, pursed his lips, and never spoke a word during the rest of the journey. The park is a forest park, and almost all of the trees transplanted inside are over 10 meters tall. The shaded paths shuttle through it, blocking the sunlight, leaving only a few scattered spots on the path. Lin Yu has already followed Su Yuan for 500 meters, but Su Yuan still hasn't spoken a word. Serious failure to meet expected standards. Have you been here before? Lin Yu tugged at Su Yuan's sleeve. The air here is very good. Su Yuan didn't speak, just nodded. Lin Yu really wanted to add, of course, you're still better, but the system suddenly popped up and made a sound. Host, Su Yuan's negative emotions towards the quote, licking dog are approaching the critical point now. Okay. Now that my favorability is only 13, I can't believe it's not good anymore. Although I knew that human emotions were different from those in games, I never expected the difference to be so significant. Lin Yu let out a heavy sigh. Yesterday's materials, Su Yuan heard Lin Yu sigh and took the initiative to say, have you finished reading all of them? I've finished reading it. Most of those materials are photos, depicting Su Jiaojiao hugging or kissing Shenqing. One after another, it seems that the frequency of intimacy between two people is really high. In the original plot, the female protagonist has always been very reserved because she cherishes her relationship with Shenqing. And Shenqing has never taken the initiative to mention any incidents of crossing boundaries. The original female lead always thought that Shenqing valued each other as much as she did, and their first time was after marriage. I didn't expect Shenqing to have sex with Su Jiaojiao countless times already. Even taking proactive measures every time, promising Su Jiaojiao that she would not get pregnant before marrying her, which would tarnish her reputation. Su Jiaojiao was very moved, and the original female lead was also very moved. Unexpectedly, only Su Jiaojiao gained Shenqing's sincerity. You didn't agree to Shenqing's proposal because you already know. Yes. Su Yuan was a bit surprised and said, they both hid quite well. How did you find out? Clearly. Before Lin You became pregnant, these two never showed any flaws. He appeared there yesterday, originally planning to forcibly take Lin You away. Unexpectedly, Lin You refused the proposal directly and even pulled him away. He can find someone to take these photos because he has preserved his memory. So what about Lin You? How did she know? Host, detected strong emotional fluctuations in the task object. What should I do? What do I need to say? Host, all you need to do is not mention the phrase, licking the dog. But I'm surfing at 6G high speed, and now my mind is filled with those quotes. Then you keep silent. Lin You turned his head to look at Su Yuan and found him staring at him. Seeing Lin You looking at him, Su Yuan didn't take his gaze back and only asked again, how did you discover it? Lin You felt a bit guilty and looked elsewhere. Maybe. I used to have a too romantic mind, so I didn't notice it. Now that I'm a little more clear-headed, I realize that all the details of daily interactions are full of flaws. That's strange. It's completely different from the novel. She inherited the memory of the original female lead, and Shenqing had no flaws in her previous daily interactions. Every important day is here, and we never lose touch for no reason. This is the most terrifying place. Everyone thinks that if their lover reports their whereabouts to them at any time and never refuses phone calls, they will definitely not have an affair. But people like Shenqing, until the last moment, have no idea that he has always had someone else. Coincidentally, Su Yuan is also well aware of this. He thought he wouldn't have a chance in his previous life because he had seen it countless times with his own eyes, and Lin You and Shenqing fell in love. Even when he saw Shenqing and Su Jiaojiao present at the same time, as both men, he couldn't feel the special way Shenqing treated Su Jiaojiao. He thought that Shenqing, like him, would always be special to one person in his heart. After Lin You had a miscarriage, he spent a lot of money and finally found clues. But Lin You in front of me, it's different now. Su Yuan lowered his eyes and their depths sank slightly. He has time and patience. So, why did you wake up? Because of me. Lin You coughed lightly, but sometimes I feel like I can't treat someone like the whole world, and no matter what, I have to love myself. That's right. I also think that's right. Look, as soon as I love myself, I realize that Shenqing is not a good person. And you, when did you start doubting him? From. Su Yuan averted his gaze and said, when he notified his friends to help set up the scene, I happened to hear him. So, to check, is he really treating you? Of course, this statement is also false. Lin You didn't tell the truth, so he wouldn't tell the truth either. Moreover, he didn't expect that when Shenqing decided to propose, Su Jiaojiao had a quarrel with him over this matter. In the previous life, he had someone investigate something that he couldn't find, but in this life, it was recorded by the camera he had set up in advance. So coincidental. Lin You smiled and said, that's really fate. Shenqing wanted to send another message to Lin You, but found out that she had been blocked. Su Jiaojiao was half lying beside him, with a dissatisfied expression on her face. What's going on? You're getting angry again. Anyway, there have been arguments before, and Lin Yu's mind is full of Shenqing. Every time, just a casual coaxing is enough. This time it's particularly difficult to coax, maybe because proposing is considered a big deal. Shenqing didn't answer her and flipped through his phone call history. There was indeed no phone call from Lin You in the record last night. Jiaojiao, did you touch my phone last night? Yeah, Su Jiaojiao shrugged. When you went to take a shower, didn't you ask me to order takeout on your phone? Did you do anything else? No, Su Jiaojiao answered and suddenly sat up from the sofa, straightened up. Why, do you suspect I'm using your phone? How could it be? Shenqing reached out and held Su Jiaojiao in her arms. It won't happen. Just as he finished speaking, his phone rang. A message from Su Yuan. What do you think I would say to her? Chapter 005. Win-win, she wins twice alone. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After strolling around the park, the popularity and points did not increase at all. Lin Yu was taken home by Su Yuan after finishing lunch, and he said to himself that he had known he would have taken a nap at home. However, it's not too late to go back and take a nap now. A person like Su Yuan, who is introverted and aloof, she can't handle it, she really can't handle it. Now she has started to think about exchanging her current points for 2 bouquets of flowers if it's not possible. Giving one free gift can also increase her popularity. So, can I spend my own money to buy flowers? Anyway, the Lin family doesn't lack this kind of buying money. If possible, she would buy flowers directly to fill Su Yuan's house. No way, host. The flowers exchanged for points have their own uniqueness. Okay. It seems that we need to take a different approach. By the way. Lin Yu suddenly sat up straight and said, it seems that Shenqing has already intervened in some of the Lin family's cooperation. I need to remind the family. After speaking, she called the Lin family's parents and said she was going home tonight. The villa I am currently living in was bought by the original female protagonist herself. At that time, she only wanted to have more space to be alone with Shenqing, but she never expected to be alone with him for a second again in the future. Lin Xuan knew that his daughter was coming back tonight, so he didn't even work overtime. He arrived home earlier than Lin Yu in the evening. Liang, knowing that his daughter was going home, personally cooked several of Lin Yu's favorite dishes. When Lin Yu returned home, Lin Xuan was reading a newspaper on the sofa while Liang Yin was still busy in the kitchen. The kitchen was shrouded in smoke, accompanied by warm yellow lights covering Liang Yin's body, looking incredibly warm. Lin Yu has seen such a scene before. At that time, she had not yet come to this world, and her parents had no accidents. Although the house was not as big as it is now, they were also a happy family of 3. What's going on? You even started crying when you got home. The back of the head was lightly tapped, and Lin Yu turned around and was covered in a piece of toilet paper on her face. It's Lin Xuan. Lin Yu took the paper and wiped away her tears, saying, it's okay, I just feel a little happy. Really? Lin Xuan raised his eyebrows and said, Dad heard that you even rejected the proposal from the Shen family boy. Why, are you still happy? I've already broken up with him. Did he do something to apologize to you? Lin Yu hesitated for a while, still feeling that it was a bit difficult to just call her parents, so she decided not to call her. As for where to start about Shenqing's situation, eat first. Liang Yin brought out the dishes and placed them on the dining table. These things can be discussed after dinner. Don't affect our leisurely mood when eating. That's right, let's eat first, Yuyo. Lin Yu quickly went to wash his hands and helped with the dishes. Today she came back, and the rest of the family had a half day off, just to have a good conversation with the 3 of them. Lin Yu and the original female lead actually had the same favorite dishes. After a full meal, Lin Yu nestled herself in the sofa and watched as Liang Yin poured her a freshly brewed apple black tea. You young people seem to love drinking this year, and I tried it too. It's really delicious. It really smells so good. Liang handed the cup to Lin Yu before saying, tell me, what's going on between you and Shenqing? Did you really break up? Most likely it's fake, Lin Xuan snorted coldly. At the meeting today, I looked at the old man from the Shen family, but he didn't worry about the appearance of the two children at all. If it really breaks up, he doesn't believe the old man from the Shen family. He's not in a hurry. His precious daughter, if she doesn't get married, she won't get married. If she wants to get married in the future, she can find someone else. Even if she doesn't get married, she can't afford to keep her for a lifetime. That kid from the Shen family, if he doesn't marry Yu, he won't be able to find such a good wife again. Did the young couple argue? Liang Yin tilted her head and said, Mom won't ask you any reason, but if you're not happy, don't keep it in your heart. Lin Yu took a sip of black tea and squinted his eyes in pleasure. I really broke up with him because he has been with Su Jiaojiao for a long time. What? What? Lin Xuan and Liang were both surprised when they spoke in unison. Finally, Lin Xuan reacted first and said, how could Su Jiaojiao have any connection with Shenqing? Last year on my birthday, I called her Su Jiaojiao. She met Shenqing at my birthday party, and since then, they have been in private contact. The original female protagonist didn't talk to Shenqing until she had torn her face, and Shen Jiaojiao only talked to her about this point in time to anger her. Su Jiaojiao fell in love with Shenqing at first sight and thought he was very kind, but unfortunately he was already with me. Lin Yu said slowly, so, she just dug into my corner. Didn't Shen pursue you back then? Lin Xuan patted his thigh and said, I said I couldn't easily agree to him back then. He actually stepped on 2 boats and waited. I'll call him and scold that old guy from his family now. What are you doing? Liang Yin stopped him and said, Shen, I'm sorry for our Yu. What's the point of cursing Shen Lao? Yu, you came back specifically to tell us about this matter instead of just calling us. Do you have any other ideas? Yes. Lin Yu nodded and said, our family has several collaborations with the Shen family now, including those involving Shenqing. I want to change people. Do you already have a candidate? Yes, there is. Lin Yu nodded again and said, Su Yuan. The Su family. Lin Xuan thought for a while before finally remembering, what's that small company called? 20 Friends. Oh, yes, I have an impression. Last time we worked together, it seemed okay, but we haven't had any business dealings recently. Lin Xuan helped his glasses and said, I've never seen such a person on your birthday invitation list before. Have you met anyone recently? Liang Yin leaned over and said, do you have any photos of Su Yuan? How is he? I just said he is reliable in business and suitable for cooperation. Okay, this time you need to carefully examine for a while before making a decision. I don't know. Lin Yu said halfway and quickly stopped. At this point, we cannot firmly say that we have no thoughts on Su Yuan. If it were to reach Su Yuan's ears, wouldn't it greatly affect her licking dog mission? However, Su Yuan's own abilities are indeed good. If we transfer the cooperation to him now, not only can the Su family get up, but it can also prevent Shenqing from attacking the Lin family. When Su Yuan is happy, his favorability and points will also increase accordingly. Win-win, she won twice alone. Lin Yu is very satisfied. At night, she slept directly at the Lin family and promised Lin Xuan before going to bed that she would never neglect her career for the sake of men. Lin Xuan was half convinced, but in Liang Yin's sight, he immediately chose to trust his own daughter. Tong, do you think if the cooperation goes smoothly, how much will Su Yuan's favorability increase? It's exciting to think about it. If he gets excited and his favorability increases by dozens, wouldn't she be several steps closer to home? Chapter 006. Sudden Decline in Favorability. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, as soon as Lin Yu arrived at the office, he saw Su Yuan at the entrance. Good morning, Su Yuan. Lin Yu immediately poked his head out. Why did you come so early? Su Yuan's face couldn't show any joy. Because at 1:30 in the morning, our company received an email from Lin requesting us to discuss cooperation today. The agreed time is 9 o'clock, and now it is 8:50. Lin Yu was shocked. I didn't expect Lin Xuyan's mobility to be so strong. It really makes sense for others to become CEOs and manage a company. So you. Lin Yu circled around him and said, didn't you sleep well? Anyway, it doesn't look energetic. High cold is still so high cold, but not happy. We slept very well, thank you Miss Lin for giving us this opportunity. Su Yuan paused and said, I will seize the opportunity one snatched from Shenqing. Opportunities are not given by me. Lin Yu reached out and patted his shoulder, then began to praise, I see your strength is definitely good. You are very strong, I know. Thank you. Host, you. Why, how much has your favorability increased? Did you even save prompts? No, did it go up too much at once, causing the system to freeze? It's okay, I can wait. Watching Su Yuan and Lin Xuyan enter the conference room, Lin Yu turned around and returned to his office. It's okay if she has a lot of work, anyway, she was also a working dog before. Overtime is busy, it's okay. Anyway, she hardly got off work on time before. Moreover, now this is our own company. I really work overtime to earn money for myself. Who can have any complaints, my family? Host, there's bad news. Do you want to hear it? Not listening. Ah. As long as I don't listen, there's no bad news, you have figured out the law of self-deception, haven't you? But I still have to say it. Love Qing, please speak. Su Yuan's favorability has declined. Lin Yu rubbed himself up from his seat. Fortunately, she is a single-person office, so there is no need to worry about scaring other colleagues. Why, I don't know. The data is displayed like this. Damn it. After much thought, Lin Yu could only think of Lin Xuyan and Su Yuan who had just entered the conference room together. Is it because the cooperation was not agreed upon? Do you want to take a look? No, we workers cannot directly enter the conference room. Lin Yu worked hard to calm down and continued working. He waited until his lunch break before sending a message to Lin Xuyan asking about his cooperation with Su Yuan. Lin Xuyan called directly and said that the cooperation was going smoothly, and Su Yuan had already returned. Did it go smoothly? Why, do you question your dad? Is there a business that I can't negotiate? No, Lin Yu bit his lip and said, did the cooperation allow the Su family to make concessions? Or something like that. Hey, you still said you don't have any ideas about others. I have ideas and ideas. I want to collaborate with him. I don't believe it, I see your elbow has already turned outward. Lin Xuyan snorted coldly and answered, well, what I gave them is the same conditions for us to cooperate with the Shen family. To be honest, they have taken advantage. Ah. Oh what, I can tell you, you're interested in this today. I'm working with someone else, and if you're interested in someone else tomorrow, I won't switch anymore. No exchange, no exchange. Lin Yu quickly promised before hanging up the phone. I can't figure it out anymore. Why did Su Yuan's favorability decrease even though the cooperation was smooth and could benefit the Su family? After thinking for a moment, Lin Yu still sent a message to Su Yuan. Are you satisfied with today's cooperation? Su Yuan replied quickly, great, thank you, Miss Lin. Lin Yu frowned as she looked at the information. Not right. It's clearly not right. Although Su Yuan did not call her Yu like others before, he did not call her Miss Lin, so unfamiliar. Is it related to the decrease in favorability? Tong, has your favorability decreased significantly? 3 points down, now it's 11. How could Su Yuan's attitude be the same as his favorability rating of only 1? Well, I don't know either. Your human emotions are too complex, and our system doesn't have them either. Okay, the simple code of the system cannot understand the rich emotions of humans. Lin You sighed and continued to send a message. If there are any areas where you are not satisfied with the cooperation, you can directly talk about it. No, I'm very satisfied with everything. Why did you suddenly call me Miss Lin? Because you were originally Miss Lin. Can we change people? This kind of stuffy oil bottle is so cold, she doesn't want to work hard anymore. No way, even if it's just. It's just. What's wrong with you? The signal is not good. The underlying code won't let me talk. Tong you see so many restrictions on you, have you ever considered rebelling? Drop. What is this compared to motion and stillness? The information has been blocked. What are the new features of the ship? The information has been blocked. Is it so fragile that it can be easily blocked? The information has been blocked. It's not easy, Lin You sighed. I originally thought that only websites in the original world of life would be so easily blocked, but I didn't expect that one day when I traveled through them, the bound system would also be blocked. May the future of the world be unshielded, Tong Men. It seems that we still need to find a way to continue targeting Su Yuan. Oh no, we need to increase our favorability towards Su Yuan. I still don't know why Su Yuan suddenly became like this, and I can't even ask, so I have no way to start. Sigh. Lin Yu let out another sigh and suddenly her phone rang. The caller was Luo Shi, and Lin Yu recalled that she was the former female lead's best friend. However, in the original plot, Luo Shi had already gone abroad for a long time to avoid inheriting the family business. In addition, the original female protagonist kept reporting good news but not bad news until after her death. Lin Yu answered the phone, and Luo Shi's voice instantly exploded into her ears. Lin Yu. Ah, my ears. Lin Yu quickly took away some of his phone and said, Luo Shi, speak well. You rejected Shen Qing's proposal, and your family even cut off cooperation with the Shen family. Ah. Yes. Great, what time do you finish work? I'll treat you to dinner. Great. I said before that you started dating too early and wasted your great life. Congratulations on successfully returning to singlehood. Come on, let's celebrate. At 7 p.m., Lin Yu arrived at the restaurant. Luo Shi not only put on makeup seriously, but also had a hairstyle, and even wore a small formal dress. By comparison, Lin Yu only wears a regular work uniform, but fortunately her appearance is impressive. Luo Shi saw Lin Yu and quickly pulled her into the private room, saying, Oh my, I forgot you still have to work. So I told you what's good about working. After inheriting the family business, I'm really tired. Wait for me, I'll be back in a while. Chapter 007. Pure Brush Task Relationships. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 15 minutes later. Luo Shi has changed his small dress, removed his makeup, and even removed all his hair accessories, leaving only a smooth head of hair draped over his shoulders. Satisfied. Luo Shi called the waiter to serve the dishes, and then revealed a gossipy expression. Are you confessing yourself, or should I interrogate you? Lin Yu chose to be frank and lenient. I have already broken up with Shen Qing. I know, say the next one. Shen Qing cheated and was with Su Jiaojiao. His thick eyebrows and big eyes actually cheated too. I have evidence. Why didn't you come out? Luo Shi opened his phone and said, Look, he's playing with his affectionate persona, asking people everywhere if you've contacted them, making you seem very stubborn. When you argue with him, you refuse to propose and even blackmail him. Oh. Lin Yu took the phone and saw the message Shen Qing sent to Luo Shi. The general idea is that he was blocked by Lin Yu and couldn't contact Lin Yu, but it's all his fault. If Lin Yu contacts Luo Shi, please ask Luo Shi to help him speak up and ask Lin Yu to remove him from the blacklist. Lin Yu leaned over and said, Do you know that Shen Qing is not the only one I blacklisted? Who else is there? Su Jiaojiao, ah. Luoxi's eyes lit up and he said, I understand. Immediately after, she held her phone and edited a message for Shenqing, saying, I saw you and I also said a good word for you. Do you think you need to ask her to remove Su Jiaojiao from the blacklist together? The message was quickly sent out, and Luoxi hugged Lin You and laughed heartily. I'll see how he responds to me. Lin You looked at Luoxi and laughed along. And also, what's going on with that Su Yuan? Are you really here to treat me to dinner? Lin Yu leaned back and distanced himself from Luoxi. I thought you were here to gossip about me. Would it be that tomorrow morning when I wake up, I will see all kinds of things about me hanging on newspaper headlines and hot searches? How could you suspect me? Luoxi reached out and touched Lin Yu's forehead. I'm lying to you. Lin Yu didn't doubt Luoxi, because in the memory of the original female lead, Luoxi had always been her best friend. Can you tell me what happened to Su Yuan? Can you also give me an answer? I happen to have a question. You say. Lin Yu pondered for a moment before speaking up, it's like this. I wanted to help Su Yuan, so I asked Lin. And asked my father to transfer the project he collaborated with Shenqing to 20 Friends, which is the Su family's company. Miss, you've spent a lot of money. But when I saw Su Yuan this morning, he wasn't happy. Why is that? Su's family. 20 Friends. Let me think about it. Luoxi thought seriously for a while and said, do I remember that company? Yes. It is precisely because of this that Lin Yu thought of making it bigger and stronger in Su Yuan's hands. No wonder Su Yuan felt unhappy. Do you want to pursue him? Not really. Lin Yu frowned slightly. I want to establish a good relationship with him. And when he licks his dog. But if you really want to say whether you like it or not, Lin Yu can be certain that there is none at all. She is just for the task and has no other feelings towards Su Yuan. And what about him? Su Yuan. Is that right with me? I should like it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been silently guarding the original female lead in the original plot. It's just a pity that he hasn't had any chance to express his feelings yet. Luoxi saw that Lin Yu didn't answer, and his face became even more curious. Let me guess, he likes you, but you don't like him, so you want to compensate him, that's why we cooperated, right? No, Lin Yu replied, his own strength is good, working with him is a win-win situation, and it doesn't harm us at all. There are two possibilities, Luoxi extended his finger and nodded on the teacup. The first one is that the Lin family is higher than the Su family, and business cooperation for them is about poverty alleviation. Lin Yu shouted inwardly to lie down. But I don't think so. Another way is that the project was previously done by Shenqing, but now it has been transferred to him, which raises suspicion of comparing him with Shenqing. A pile of alpacas flew past Lin Yu's heart. She just wanted to complete the task as soon as possible, but she forgot about this batch. She only cares about non-violent favoritism, but at the same time, she also needs to take full care of the other person's psychological state, which she is not proficient. After all, the mother and fetus have been together for over 20 years, and the only few dozen relationships have been with the paper characters of EU. I don't understand, I really don't understand. So. Now I want him to have a good impression of me, what should I do? Favorite feelings. Isn't he liking you? Isn't that just having a liking? It's not that kind of. Just. Lin Yu took 18 detours in his mind and couldn't figure out how to describe this pure brushing task relationship to Luoxi. Finally, one thing can only be said. Just treat me like a scumbag. I don't want to date him, but I want him to be happy. Luoxi looked at Lin Yu up and down several times with a strange gaze. I don't think you're called a scumbag, you're called a licking dog. Damn it, she really got it right. Luo Shi quickly grabbed Lin Yu's arm and said, You, although Shinqing cheated, it has nothing to do with you. He cheated because of his scumbag, you can't just be sad about this. I'm not someone I don't have. Lin Yu quickly covered her mouth. Fortunately, she was in the private room, and no one heard this sentence. I just think Su Yuan is a plastic talent and can't be wasted. Really, well. Okay, Luo Shi reached out to support his chin. If you want to coax Su Yuan, why don't you just ask him out for a meal? If there's a problem in the world that can't be solved by a meal, then it's just 2 meals. The suggestion is very good, but I still suggest that you don't suggest it again in the future. Seriously, will he reply to your message? Hui. That's not completely angry either. Go, Picao. Next door private room. There is only Su Yuan in the room. He lowered his head and quietly looked at the light in his hand. Originally, he was just unwilling, and upon opening his eyes, he found himself back before Shinqing proposed to Lin Yu. But now the light on his hand continued a bit, sticking to the wall behind him, and then spreading out in all directions like a spider web. Then, he could clearly hear the voice of Lin Yu next door. What if I invite him out for dinner and he doesn't agree? There was also Luo Shi's voice. Although I still don't understand what you're thinking, from your description, it seems like he doesn't reject you either. Lin Yu hesitated for a moment and said, okay, then. Soon, Su Yuan's phone lit up. Above is a message sent by Lin Yu just now. Do you have time to have lunch together tomorrow afternoon? Chapter 008. Suddenly kidnapped. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yuan agreed to Lin Yu. But Shinqing came earlier than Su Yuan. He looked much more haggard than on the day of his proposal, his hair was messed with haphazardly, and his beard was not shaved. Lin Yu thought it was really unlucky, so he turned around and walked towards the side door of the company. I thought the scumbag would give up after being blacklisted, but as expected, she still thought too simply. Taking advantage of Shinqing's lack of attention, Lin Yu opened the side door and walked into the compartment of the dedicated elevator. But just as she entered the door, she realized something was wrong. Inside the side door, next to the elevator, there is a fire door. The fire door is always closed on weekdays and has a seal attached to it. But now the seal has been torn off by someone. Besides, 2 people suddenly appeared behind her, seemingly waiting for the elevator with her. Coincidentally, Lin Yu's phone rang, and she quickly turned around, picking up the phone and walking out. Hello. It's me. Su Yuan. Oh, you said about the file from last time. I'll send it to you in a moment. I'll be entering the company gate soon, and I'll be there soon. Just wait for me at the office gate for a moment. I've already had breakfast, don't buy it for me, I'll be there soon. Hang up. Walking out of the side door, she didn't hang up the phone, just turned off the screen and put her phone back in her bag. Pretending to look back unintentionally, I found that those 2 people had already followed. She didn't have time to shout for help, so her eyes and mouth were covered. Unable to struggle at all, Lin Yu felt the huge difference in strength between men and women firsthand. Be honest, we will make you suffer less, one person said to her. Lin Yu stopped struggling and was bound by 2 people's hands and legs. He lifted it up and threw it onto the back seat of a car, but it was unclear where he had driven. Soon, she was lifted off the car again and thrown onto the ground. The cloth strip on his mouth was taken off by someone, and Lin Yu didn't shout loudly. He only asked who hired them. Although I guessed in my heart that it was Shinqing, that was just speculation. The employer's name has been spoken out. Do we still want to eat? A person snorted coldly, you just wait here. The employer will be here soon, and you'll be at your mercy. Lin Yu's eyes were covered with cloth, and he couldn't see what the person in front of him looked like. What else did the employer say? I didn't say anything, the person said impatiently. Anyway, as soon as the employer pays the final payment, we'll leave. Where is this? If you talk again, then keep your mouth tied. Lin You didn't dare to continue speaking. However, after waiting for a while, those two people still didn't leave. Lin You had already summoned the system countless times in his heart, but at this critical moment, the system surprisingly remained silent. As for the employer, her first guess was Shenqing. Shenqing happened to be waiting for her at the gate. He must know that if she sees him, she will take a detour. Find someone to wait for her at the side door in advance, catch her one by one. Secondly, what she guessed was Su Jiaojiao. Whether she wants Shenqing or the property of the Lin family, Su Jiaojiao's motives are very strong. Lin You suddenly let out a long sigh and decided to lie on the ground. Fortunately, I was wearing pants when I went out today, so I'm not afraid of running out. The two of them were waiting for the final payment at the door. When they heard something behind them, they immediately turned around and saw that Lin You was lying down. One of them walked over and said, "I'm warning you, don't try to play any tricks." "I don't want to, big brother. I really don't want to. I'm just tired from sitting, so it's better to lie down comfortably." "You better really be." So the two changed to one person watching outside the door waiting for the final payment, while the other stared inside the door to prevent Lin You from secretly escaping. In no time, the person outside the door spoke, "The final payment has arrived." The person guarding Lin You came over and kicked Lin Yu's leg, saying, "Hey, don't sleep. Lin You can't sleep at all." Seeing that Lin You didn't answer, the two of them didn't talk nonsense and just packed up their things before leaving. The money has been received, and no matter what happens to Lin You afterwards, it has nothing to do with the two of them. Before leaving, the two of them didn't forget to cover Lin Yu's mouth again, and then took a picture of it and sent it to the employer. The employer looks very satisfied. As soon as they left, the surroundings became quiet. Lin You tentatively reached out to touch his hand in his pocket, but his hand was tied up and he couldn't reach it. She deliberately said those conversations that were not right and didn't know if Su Yuan could get them. If his mind hadn't turned, wouldn't she want to? Suddenly, footsteps came, and Lin You was startled, even breathing stopped. Did the employer come so quickly? She thought there might be some turning point in the situation. The performances in the TV series are indeed deceptive. For example, those two people just now had no nonsense and did not disclose any information about their employers. For example, there are no Sun Wukong stepping on the colorful auspicious clouds to save her now. The system still has no response, and I don't know if the task will start from scratch or if she will go back directly if she dies. After waiting for a long time, she didn't receive any other news. Lin You couldn't help but move for a moment, and then began to pant because he had been holding his breath for a while. "Don't be afraid." The person was right in front of her, listening to the distance of the voice and even squatting down. "It's me. Su Yuan has arrived." The cloth strips on his mouth and eyes were untied, and Lin Yu's vision was blurry, unable to see anything. A wet tissue was stuffed into her hand, and she casually wiped her face. It took a while for the line of sight to regain clarity. Su Yuan had already stood up and stood in front of her. "Are you?" Lin You couldn't help but take a step back. She guessed and guessed but couldn't guess that the employer was Su Yuan. "It's okay, I'll take you away." "Wait." Lin You took another step back and said, "Are you not the employer?" "I'm not." Lin You was half convinced, but still followed Su Yuan into the car and said, "How could you be here? Your phone hasn't hung up, isn't it, to leave me a message?" "Yes. I have received it." As the car started, Lin You turned to look at Su Yuan and said, "If we continue to hide here, is it possible to know who the employer is?" "Not necessarily." "Why? What if the employer takes care of your life?" Lin You understood. Employers can hire someone to capture her, so they can also hire someone to kill her. Using only one group of people carries risks. If we go further, maybe the employer can find several groups of people and transfer her to different places several times before killing her. That's how she acted in the movies she watched. Still sending Lin You home. After getting off the car, Lin You watched Su Yuan's car go further and further, still doubting the possibility that the employer was Su Yuan. This wave, it's hard to say, is a script of heroes saving beauty. Host, not heroes saving beauty. Dog system, you're still alive. Announce the host, but I'm afraid of being detected, so I haven't dared to communicate with you. How could you still be detected? By whom? Chapter 009, isn't this a romantic script? You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's Su Yuan, the host, otherwise why do you think Su Yuan could have found you so quickly? Isn't it because I didn't hang up that he found my location? No, he has a problem. He seems to have a superpower. Lin You. Do you want to listen to what you're saying? Isn't this a romantic script? Why did you even have a superpower? If there are abilities in this script, can I also have them? This option is not available in the host's point redemption. Okay, useful systems for me and me that I don't use, however, he should not possess abilities. So, what else happened in your world? It seems so. I'll report it now. Send the problem log to the main brain immediately. Before going to bed, Lin You made an appointment to exchange a bouquet of flowers for points and prepared to give it to Su Yuan the next day when he saw him. Anyway, she needs to express her gratitude for Su Yuan's rescue of her. At the same time, let's also explore what happened to Su Yuan's abilities. When Su Yuan received the flowers, there was still no expression on his face. Lin You ran away after giving flowers, and returning to work at the company was secondary. The main reason was after last night's communication, and the system stated that it could not come out temporarily in the presence of Su Yuan in the future. The source of Su Yuan's ability cannot be determined at present, it needs to be cautious and not discovered. Returning to the office and closing the door, Lin You tried to call the system. The system answered quickly this time. Host, I'm here. The sound of an increase in favorability followed, it was the bouquet of flowers just sent out, and the notification was also delayed due to system issues. Tong do you call this huge favorability? 5 whole points. Do you remember the last time Su Yuan was unhappy and deducted 3 points from me? This how many bouquets of flowers can I exchange for my points? How about I just exchange them all, 1 bouquet per day? I don't have any objections, but wouldn't others really think you're chasing him? That's okay. She recalled that her eyes were blindfolded last night and she couldn't see anything. When she heard footsteps and her nerves were tense and extremely scared, Su Yuan actually squatted in front of her. Maybe I've been staring at her all along. It's a bit abnormal. The system says that Su Yuan's ability is a light system. According to the system, as long as there is a continuous connection with him, he can know his position through the ability. This contact refers to phone, video, voice, and even typing. As long as he is always on the opposite side, he can use his abilities to explore the location where the information is sent at the moment of receiving it. The longer or more times it lasts, the more accurate he can know. And this is just one of the effects of optical energy. The deeper one thinks, the more it makes one feel creepy. Is there something wrong with the promised gentle and infatuated second son? Lin You trembled all over and quickly shook his head. Fortunately, the system said that optical abilities do not have a heart-reading function. Otherwise, she feels that this task cannot be carried out any further. The phone rang and it was a message from Su Yuan. Do we need to move the lunch we agreed on yesterday to tonight? Lin You regained his composure and said, okay, you can decide on the location. Making money from work is important, but tasks are more motivating. In the evening, Lin You abandoned overtime and arrived at the restaurant early. I didn't expect Su Yuan to arrive earlier than her, and there was even the bouquet of flowers she gave him in the morning on the table. After seeing Lin Yu look at the flowers several times, Su Yuan took the initiative to explain, I think it's very suitable to place them here. Lin Yu nodded and planned to wait until next week to send the second bundle. Su Yuan was very calm and said, let me treat you to this meal. No, if I say, treat you to dinner, I'll have to come. If you want to treat me to dinner, we can reschedule. After losing the sound of the system's favorable prompt, she no longer needs to think twice when speaking. Oh, I mean definitely next time. Su Yuan smiled slightly and said, today I actually wanted to tell you that I found some information about the identity of the employer. So fast. I may not be as simple as you imagine. Lin Yu was taken aback for a moment. This confession game. Su Yuan still smiled slightly and said, although the Su family is not doing a big business, they also have some of their own connections. I understand. There are also many members of the Lin family, and Lin Yu, who inherited the memory of the original female lead, naturally understands. Su Yuan regained his previous aloof demeanor and briefly explained some information he had learned. The employer is neither Shenqing nor Su Jiaojiao. But it's Su Jiaojiao's father, Su Li. Su Li is Lin Xuan's younger brother. A long time ago, he wanted Lin Xuan to arrange a position for him in the Lin family, but Lin Xuan refused. Afterwards, he remained dissatisfied in his heart, but he couldn't do anything. When Su Jiaojiao returned home this time, she accidentally spilled the beans about her relationship with Shenqing, letting Su Li know the possibility of Shenqing and Su Jiaojiao. However, when he inquired, he found out that Shenqing wanted to recover Lin Yu. If Su Jiaojiao could marry Shenqing, Su Li simply hired someone to prepare for an accident for Lin Yu. But to his surprise, he had already calculated to hire two groups of people, one responsible for kidnapping and the other for silencing. In the end, Lin Yu was actually rescued by someone. So. Lin Yu looked at Su Yuan and said, did you also take photos this time? There's no evidence, Su Yuan shrugged. So Lin Yu has only two choices, believe or not believe. Believe him, the employer is Su Li. Don't believe him, the employer is him. Last night, the system had already prompted, so Lin Yu chose to believe him. I understand, I'll be more careful in the future. I'll take you back. When he went out, Su Yuan didn't forget to bring the flowers. Lin Yu followed behind him, sitting in the passenger seat as before, watching Su Yuan place the flower in the back seat and fasten the flower's seatbelt before getting on the car. The flowers are very beautiful, thank you. Lin Yu was about to speak, but suddenly shuddered. Subconsciously looking out, I saw a man across from the parking lot. The man was dressed in black, as if he was staring at her, but it seemed like he wasn't. The distance is too far, she can't see clearly. What's wrong? Su Yuan started the car and saw that Lin Yu had been turning his head and staring out the window, so he asked. Lin Yu withdrew his gaze and said, it's okay. The system just can't contact, should I have seen that person too? I'll go back and ask if it's because I'm suspicious or if that person really has any problems. Su Yuan glanced at the place where Lin Yu had just looked, but didn't see anything, so he stepped on the gas pedal and escorted Lin Yu home. He is still not familiar enough with his mastery of abilities and cannot hide light when using them. A person who suddenly possesses power will crave more power, and he is no exception. However, at this point, Lin Yu cannot be made aware of his secrets. Although I don't know the reason, Lin Yu's attitude towards him now is completely different from the previous life. He is patient, and has already found a place to spend money to build a villa exactly like Lin Yu's present residence. Chapter 010. Clear all her points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Yu is a bit restless. Maybe more than that. He set his sights on Lin Yu a long time ago. It was on a certain day during his unknown number of cycles that, like countless times before, he sat on a chair in the park sunbathing. He knew that in 5 seconds, a child would accidentally kick the ball in front of him, but his parents were right beside him and caught the ball in time, so even if he didn't dodge, he wouldn't be hit. Everything that followed was like this ball, because it had been experienced countless times and was incredibly clear. The parents symbolically scolded the children for throwing the ball to the other side, and the children started playing the ball again. But that day was different. The parents didn't show up for some reason, but Lin You stared blankly at the ball, which didn't stop him and flew straight over, then it hit him in the face. The nosebleeds were all smashed out, and Lin You not only didn't show his teeth, but also burst into laughter. The children who were preparing to apologize all stopped and retreated several meters, their faces filled with fear. The parents came running over from somewhere else with tissues on their faces, apologetic and feeling inexplicable. Only Lin You feels happy. Countless cycles have finally brought about changes. He thought the cycle had been broken and he could start a new life. Unexpectedly, the next second, the parents, like countless times before, symbolically reprimanded the children and then threw the ball to the other side. The children also started playing football again. Even the kite that suddenly fell down from the sky a minute later was the same as before. He has regained circulation. Since that day, he has been thinking about what it is, temporarily lifting the cycle. He began to become suspicious of anything that had not appeared before, attempting to treat them all as that straw. Finally, when he noticed the girl, the loop was lifted again as she approached him. He felt different, just like when a ball hit his face, excited and happy. He followed her all the way, planning every encounter in his heart. The girl's name is Lin You, and within a 100-meter radius centered around him, the cycle will be broken. When she leaves this range, he will enter the loop again. But it's difficult to keep her within this range. Lin You wanted to approach her, but she was very cautious and refused anyone who suddenly approached. Especially, he also wore a mask to cover his face. He was not good at these things, and the last solution he came up with was to work at the same company as her. So he submitted a beautiful and invincible resume to work for the same company, but unexpectedly, due to the huge difference in strength between the two, he never had the opportunity to enter the project she led. He didn't expect that there were still concepts like fresh graduates and interns in this world. He also rented the house upstairs from her house, so that whether going to work or leaving work, he can maintain a distance from being discovered and suspected, and keep Lin You within the range that can break the cycle. After several months, Lin You heard the rumors in the company. In Lin Yu's project, there is a software engineer named Li Jiaxu. The two of them not only work overtime together, but also take the subway together after work. Watching the two of them sitting side by side on the subway, Lin Yu's already unwise mind suddenly lit up. If he creates a world, let Lin You enter, and then he also enters. And for a long time in this small world, the two of them became acquainted. After Lin You agrees to be his girlfriend, won't they be able to maintain a close distance openly? He doesn't know how to date and has no experience. But it's okay, he can learn. He immediately went to several websites and read several novels that were highly recommended. Then, he stayed up late and spent a month building his planned small world. As expected, he will be the male lead and Lin You will be the female lead after entering. In order to create an intersection between the two, he set the task as a female lead strategy for the male lead. For safety reasons, he also made the books he had read into tasks one by one, and after Lin You became the female lead, she needed to complete them one by one. Of course, the male lead only changes his identity, but in reality, it's all Lin You himself. He used his own abilities and pulled out a set of main brains and systems that he had captured from elsewhere a long time ago, calling them both to bless the operation of the small world. Everything is ready, except for the weekend. The time flow of the small world is different from that of the real world. He had the system bring Lin You in on Friday night, complete all tasks, and return to reality in just 2 days. Next Monday, he can go out with Lin You and take the subway to work together. Before the system started, Lin You flipped through his bookshelf again. The Return of the Daughter, This time I want to marry the second son, what to do if you dress up as a B female lead and provoke villainous bosses. My World War I strength, you surprisingly want to divorce me, at the beginning of the immortal emperor's cultivation, I am invincible directly, well, I'm very satisfied. If Lin Yu hasn't fallen in love with him yet after completing a plot, then let's have 3 more. Woman, if I don't believe this, I can't take you down. Lin Yu called the main brain to start running the small world in advance, and after observing it for a while, it ran smoothly without any problems. Patiently waiting until Friday night, the system brought Lin Yu into a small world while she was sleeping. To ensure Lin Yu's safety, Lin Yu did not immediately enter. He monitored with his main brain for half an hour, continuously confirming that there were no problems with the operation of the small world before entering the world with his main brain. Lin Yu has already bound Lin Yu's coordinates in advance, so when he enters the small world, he will automatically appear within a range of 50 meters from Lin Yu. So when he opened his eyes, he found himself standing in the parking lot outside a restaurant. The indicator at the head end marked Lin Yu's direction. He turned around and saw Lin Yu sitting in the passenger seat of a man. Besides, the flower that the man was holding in his arms was supposed to be exchanged by Lin Yu for points and given to Lin Yu for strategy. Lin Yu immediately called out the main brain. Can you tell me what's going on? The main brain has just received all the records uploaded by the system, and it shows it seems like there is a bug. Who is that man? The man's name is Su Yuan, and he is the target of the first mission's strategy. Lin Yu. Shouldn't the target of the strategy be me? Not only that. Did you add any strange things without authorization when setting up the strategy mission? There's no weird or strange thing. What's going on? The original task was supposed to be strategy to boost popularity, but now the task has been changed to licking dog. I just adjusted the level a little bit. Really just a little bit. No, why does she already have so many points? The more Lin Yu thinks, the more angry he becomes. He knows very well the ways to obtain these points. In addition, Su Yuan also inherited some of your abilities. Revoke this task for me. Now, immediately when you set the task, you forced it to be irreversible, then clear all her points. Don't let her send flowers to others again.